Hello? Where are you right now?
Ah,
I see you've already come back. I'm at my parents' house. At your parents' house. What happened to the furniture?
ah,
I'm going to take all of that with me. One day, after a meeting with the real estate agent that went late, I returned home to find that my husband, who was supposed to be working from home, was nowhere to be found. The house was almost completely empty, as if it had been abandoned. The words from my husband over the phone were incomprehensible. What are you thinking? I don't understand. Did you want to run away from home? Hello? Not contacting us until this late. You must have been out having fun, right?
um,
What's going on? I heard from my son that he's divorcing you to live with us. So, you're no longer needed. Though the words made no sense at all. It was clear that my husband had decided to leave our life together behind. Wanting a divorce. The reasons were unclear, but my patience had reached its limit. I thought about cutting ties for good, but, well, if you say you'll work as a maid, you can come to our new place. But you'll have to work non-stop, 24 hours a day. Why should I have to endure this in such a situation? Divorce was what he wanted, so becoming their maid was out of the question. No, I'd rather divorce someone who only earns about $700 a month from a work-from-home job. What? My name is Kristen. Currently, I live off real estate investments. I started about a year ago and, after a lot of study, managed to find success within a certain period. Is it going well recently? The real estate? I've got new tenants recently, so my income has increased. I've saved some money, so I'm thinking of buying another place. That's really amazing. I respect that. Well, if tenants didn't move in, this business would be over. It's not stable. I have been dating someone for half a year, and he knew I lived off real estate investments. He worked in sales at a large corporation and was very interested in my investments. So I shared a lot with him. I want to start too, but it seems quite difficult. It could earn a lot if it goes well. That's true. I've sold some places that didn't work out as well. Maybe it's best for me to keep working under someone. He laughed as he said it, but I've had my share of bitter experiences. That's why I'm now able to earn well through real estate investments. Thanks to those experiences. Well, some people might want to take that risk, and others might not want to bear it. It varies from person to person, and I don't think it's bad. That's why I respected him for his efforts, even though they were different from mine. About a year into our relationship. Will you marry me? What? Marry? I want to make you happy for the rest of our lives. I've come to truly feel this way, so will you be with me? Being over 30, I was sensitive about marriage. I had thought about the possibility of not getting married. And just because I had money, it didn't mean I could easily marry. That's why I was truly grateful for his proposal and felt from the bottom of my heart that I wanted to be happy with him. However, after getting married, his attitude changed drastically. Now that we're married, I want to move. Can't we move into one of your real estate properties? You have some spare ones, right? What? Spare properties. I do have some without tenants. But they weren't bought for personal use. Is making money more important to you? I didn't think you were that much of a money grubber. Calling me a money grubber. I wasn't being stingy. Properties bought for real estate are purchased with consideration of how many years it would take to recoup the investment and profit. Living in them would mess up the entire repayment plan. I don't expect someone who knows nothing about real estate investment to understand. But I at least want my thoughts to be heard. There are repayment plans to consider. It's not that simple to just live in them. To have such a good property and not use it for your own family. Money is the most important thing to you, huh? Fine. What he did was like denying my character. With all that said, I couldn't reply. Moreover, he wouldn't even pretend to listen to my explanations, making me realize that no matter how much I tried to explain, it was useless. Well, there was no problem with my income, and he had his salary. Because I invested in real estate, it was true that we had access to nice places to live. Maybe it was okay to indulge his whims to some extent. However, it had been half a year since we started our married life. On this day, as usual, I tried to wake him up for work, but why are you waking me up so early? Why? It's time for you to go to work.
Ah.
I didn't tell you because I came back late yesterday, but I quit my job. What? You quit your job? I couldn't just let that go. What does that mean? There was no discussion about it, and from the way he said it, it didn't seem like he was fired, but rather quit on his own. Why would he resign without discussing it first? Why would you make such a unilateral decision without any discussion? Is there a problem or something? Although I was upset about the decision being made without me, there might have been some mental strain due to the workplace environment. I didn't know what had happened, so I tried to approach the conversation calmly. Why didn't you consult with me before making this decision? Because we can live comfortably on your income, so that should be enough, right? What? Why do I need to work and stress myself out when we can live without me working? There's no point in doing that. It's a waste of time and effort. Wait a minute. He quit his job because of my income? That's unacceptable. Of course, I have a decent income. But it's not like we have a huge fortune that allows us to live in leisure for the rest of our lives. Besides, we had discussed continuing to work when something happens. With the real estate investments and for the sake of any future children. And yet, what is he thinking? Hold on. Why would you do something like this? We discussed that it's important to keep working considering our future. That was in the past, wasn't it? I've changed my mind. Plus, the real estate is doing pretty well. And you were talking about buying another property. If it's making that much money, then there shouldn't be a problem, right? That's not the issue. Even if he wanted to quit his job, he could have at least discussed it with me. We're living together as a married couple. Why could he make such a unilateral decision without any discussion? If he truly cared about the family, he wouldn't be able to make such a decision. Yet, I was truly dumbfounded and, above all, shocked. I never thought you could be so selfish. It's not something to get that angry about, right? I'll help around the house, and if things get tough, I'll start working again. So don't worry so much. No. That's not what I'm trying to say. I was at a loss for words, but arguing with my husband any further seemed pointless. For a few days, my anger didn't subside, and we barely spoke. But being angry all the time wasn't going to help. If he wasn't going to work, then he should at least help with the household chores. I decided to change my mindset and respect his feelings. Things went smoothly after that, with my husband helping around the house. And we lived as before until one day. My parents are coming over this evening, so please prepare to host them. What? Was this decided suddenly? Not suddenly, but I forgot to mention it. Forgot to mention it. It's troublesome being told so suddenly. Of course, the house was always kept clean, and it wasn't a problem for them to visit. However, if his parents were coming, I wanted to prepare properly, and I had plans for today. His selfishness in proceeding without considering any of this was frustrating. But this wasn't anything new. I hadn't seen his parents since we got married, so it had been a while. But nothing was going to change. I cleaned as usual and waited for his parents to arrive. It's been a while. Have you been well? It's been a while. Yes, I've been well. It's rude not to visit us after all this time. But it seems you've been keeping up with the household chores at least. To be insulted like this upon our first meeting in a while. Well, we weren't particularly close even during the marriage introduction. So it didn't irritate me too much, but there was no need to insult me right off the bat. True, I hadn't visited them, and I'm not complaining. But it's not like they had a grandchild or anything. I'm not free every day to visit my far-off in-laws. They don't consider that. Well, there's no use thinking about it now. They'll probably leave in the evening, so I just need to endure until then. That was my thought. However, living in such a house, are you properly grateful? Exactly. Being a stay-at-home wife and living such a luxurious life is thanks to whom? You should think about that. Calm down, both of you. I'm making enough money, and doing this much is nothing to laugh at. What? I have a lot to say, but why do I have to be insulted by my in-laws to this extent? A little teasing I can understand, but this is too much. There's a line between what you can and cannot say. I don't want them meddling in our marital relationship. And it's our business how we live our lives. Plus, I'm not pleased with my husband's remarks. Instead of defending me, he's siding with his parents. He talks as if he's the one earning and providing for this luxurious home when, in fact, I'm the one paying for everything as he's unemployed. Yet, let's end this conversation here. If I were to refute what my husband was saying, it would immediately reveal his lies. So, in a panic, he tried to end the conversation. But I wasn't planning on letting it go as if nothing happened. I didn't need their respect. But being insulted to this extent, with my husband only thinking about himself, irritated me. I didn't intend to make a big deal out of it. So I waited for his parents to leave before confronting my husband. There seemed to be some misunderstanding that I'm living lavishly off your money. But what exactly are you thinking? If my parents think I'm not working, they'll worry, won't they? Since you're actually not working, it can't be helped. Besides, you didn't even try to defend me when I was being criticized. What are you thinking? A wife is just someone for her husband's parents to dislike. So there's no point in worrying about it, right? No. What is he saying? I can't understand how he can say such a thing so confidently. Is it because he genuinely believes there's nothing wrong with what he's doing? Until now, I hadn't taken his words to heart. But to think he truly feels this way about me. It's starting to feel like continuing this marriage might not be possible. Even if it's just a slight feeling. That feeling must have shown through. Our conversations dwindled, and gradually we stopped making eye contact. One day, when I was late coming home because I had a meeting about a property I'm interested in with the real estate agent. I'm home. Huh? I couldn't believe my eyes when I got home. It wasn't completely empty, but many of the furnishings were gone. And what was missing were the branded, expensive pieces. Having wanted to put care into our furnishings for our newlywed life, I had spent quite a bit to fully furnish our home from scratch. Now they were gone, and so was my husband. Could it be he took the furniture and left on his own? That thought led me to immediately contact my husband. Hello? Where are you right now? I see you've already come back. I'm at my parents' house. Your parents' house. What happened to the furniture? I'm going to take all of that with me. What? I'm tired from a long meeting. Please don't make things more difficult for me. He's been selfish many times before, but this truly makes no sense. He took the furniture and left. What is he thinking? What are you thinking? I don't understand. Did you want to run away from home? Hello? Not contacting us until this late. You must have been out having fun, right? What's going on? I heard from my son that he's divorcing you to live with us. So, you're no longer needed. Though the words made no sense at all. It was clear that my husband had decided to leave our life together behind. Wanting a divorce. I couldn't understand why, but my patience had reached its limit. I thought about cutting ties for good, but, well, if you say you'll work as a maid, you can come to our new place. But you'll have to work non-stop, 24 hours a day. Why should I have to endure this in such a situation? Divorce was what he wanted, so becoming their maid was out of the question. No, I'd rather divorce someone who only earns about $700 a month from a work-from-home job. What? What are you saying? What? That's my line. Could it be they have no idea about my husband's current situation? Now that I think about it, indeed. My husband asked me to keep his quitting a job a secret because he was worried about his parents. If that's the case, his parents might still think he's working and supporting me. What are you talking about? My husband only makes $700 a month. That's a lie. He has $70,000. Plus, he has savings, so he can even take me on trips. No. There's no way my husband could do that. I've been supporting our household. Probably. It's my husband's lies that are to blame, but what is he thinking? How does he plan to live after divorcing me? Could I speak to my husband, please? There are things we need to discuss. Hello? Hello? First, I need you to explain this situation. Have you not told your parents that you only make $700 a month? Well, you can't tell me you didn't see this coming. I don't know why you want a divorce, but did you think it wouldn't come out? You might not have expected me to call, but it would become obvious immediately after a divorce that there's no money. I thought you'd understand that. First of all, why do you want a divorce? And after the divorce, how did you plan to live? Well, if we sold all the real estate you own, it would amount to a considerable sum, right? That's why I wanted that wealth. Sigh. Seriously? What is he saying? Why would he think he could act without considering the consequences for money? And my husband is greatly mistaken. Does he truly believe he can get half of my assets if we divorce? If so, that's incredibly out of touch with reality. Well, okay. If you want a divorce, can you prepare the divorce papers and mail them to me? About that, I've already left a divorce form in the kitchen cupboard for you to submit. Hearing his words, I immediately checked the kitchen cupboard. There was the divorce form, confirming my suspicion that he had been planning this divorce. He might think he can get a lot of money from me by divorcing, but it's not that simple. However, since I also wanted to divorce, I promptly submitted the divorce form. After submitting it to the office, I called my husband again. We needed to discuss the division of property after the divorce. Hello? I'd like to talk about the division of property. Is now a good time?
Yeah.
So, how much is it all going to come to? How much? You mean the amount for the division of assets? There's hardly anything. The moment I said that, my husband was genuinely surprised. He must have thought he was going to receive a significant portion of my assets. But that's not how it works. He probably misunderstood that all of my assets would become marital property upon marriage. But I can't let him continue with that misunderstanding. My assets and our marital assets are separate. You do realize that the assets I had built up before our marriage aren't subject to division in the divorce, right? No, what are you talking about? You own several properties. So shouldn't all of that be split in half when we divorce? That's not how it works at all. First off, why should I have to share the wealth I earned with my own effort with you? Marital assets are supposed to be divided because they were accumulated through the cooperation of both spouses during the marriage, not assets that were acquired before the marriage. I had suspected as much. My husband thought he could secure a vast fortune by divorcing me. I owned not just one or two properties, but several, and their total value was significant. Whoever put that idea in his head made a huge mistake. But, in a way, this was good for me. I've come to realize that he married me for my money. That's why his attitude changed so quickly after our marriage. Making unreasonable demands to live in my properties, quitting his job on a whim. He's been dishonest throughout. I should have realized this from the beginning, but I guess I was too naive. If I had known you were this kind of person, I wouldn't have married you. But it's good that we can divorce so easily now. Wait a minute. Withdraw the divorce. Withdraw the divorce? Now that he knows he won't get any money, he wants to back out. But after revealing his true colors like this, does he really think I'll just cancel the divorce? There's no way that's happening. Do you think so little of me? I was completely wrong about everything. I truly am sorry. Can't you forgive me? Forgive you? Why should I forgive you when you plan to use me as a maid? Why should I pay and take care of someone like you? If he were truly sorry, he wouldn't be asking for forgiveness like this. Someone who genuinely reflected on their mistakes and cared about me would accept the divorce. To the very end, he's shown he can only think of himself. Besides, I've already filed the divorce papers, so we're through. And if you have any complaints, you're welcome to take it to court. If you have the money for it. I hung up after saying just that. Of course, things might get tough from here on out, but that's no concern of mine. He judged people based on money and tried to use me to the very end. He'll pay for that. He can suffer for the rest of his life, as far as I'm concerned. That's the retribution he deserves. After that, I started packing to move out. The place was too big for one person, and since my ex-husband knew the location, I wanted to move out quickly. Surprisingly, I felt relieved after the divorce, with not a hint of regret. However, about an hour after ending the call with my ex-husband, he showed up at my house. What are you thinking? Why are you here? What do you mean? Did you really file the divorce papers? That can't be. You're being selfish. What? You're the one being selfish. You're the one who asked for the divorce. And now you want to call it off because it doesn't suit you? That's... Keep up this nonsense, and I'll call a lawyer, okay? We're divorced, so stop showing up here. If you continue to bother me, I'll take legal action. That's all I have to say. I had nothing more to talk about with him. Just speaking to him made me feel sick. He had the nerve to show his face after betraying me. But this is the end. I'll never see him again, I thought as I tried to close the door. But he stubbornly refused to let it shut. Given the physical difference between a man and a woman, I couldn't overpower my ex-husband. How much more trouble does he intend to cause me? What do you want? I want you to stop bothering me. How am I supposed to explain this to my parents? I told them I was earning and supporting us. What were you planning to do after divorcing me and losing my income? Surely, you didn't think you'd get by without any plan, did you? I thought I'd get a huge sum from your real estate. Everything's gone wrong now. This is your fault. Take responsibility. Unbelievable. To the very end, he's trying to make me suffer. How much more does he intend to hassle me? I'm not wrong in any of this. All the mistakes are on his side. I've had enough, and my patience has reached its limit. You're worried about facing your parents? That's not my problem. You quit your job on your own and aimed for my wealth in the divorce. It's a natural outcome, isn't it? Thinking you can get good results without any effort is a huge mistake. Stop deluding yourself. Seriously, can you stop joking around? I'm going to call the police now, claiming I'm being stalked by my ex-husband. Wait a minute. Calling me a stalker is going too far. I just wanted to reconcile and talk. Why won't you even have a conversation with me? Let me make one thing clear. You unilaterally took all the furniture and wanted a divorce. You started this one-sidedly, and now you expect me to hear what you say? That's not how it works. You were the one who acted first, so accept the consequences. And one more thing. Thinking you can live off others without working your entire life is a huge mistake. After I raised my voice, my ex-husband shrank back and fell silent. Seizing the opportunity, I forcefully closed the door and locked it. My ex-husband rang the intercom and spoke through the door for a while. But when I completely ignored him, he eventually gave up and left. Afterwards, I warned his parents that if they continued to cause me trouble, I would report them to the police. It seems my ex-husband might have been scolded by them because I didn't receive any more contact from him after that. Being deceived in such a manner, I wanted to demand compensation. But it was clear he would struggle significantly just from my absence. So there was no need for me to do anything more. I can live a happy life on my own, and they will have a tough life because of their actions. After completely cutting ties, I was living a happy life on my own when I heard something from a mutual acquaintance. Apparently, after our divorce, my ex-husband struggled to find a new job and, desperate for money, began asking various people for loans. Just before our divorce, he was doing some vague work-from-home job that only earned him a few tens of thousands a month, which was not enough to live on. He spent whatever he earned on leisure, so he likely had almost no savings, and quickly found himself unable to maintain his lifestyle. I later learned that his parents were under the impression that he had money, only to find out that they hardly had any savings. I always knew they liked high-end items and were show-offs, and I sensed that trait had been passed down to my ex-husband. But I never imagined that they would have no savings even though they were retired. So, they had no choice but to depend on my ex-husband, who had no money, leading to a vicious cycle. Eventually, the family fell apart and is now almost entirely estranged. Well, it's none of my concern, and whatever happens to them doesn't matter to me. But I think they got what they deserved. They exploited others for their benefit, only to end up suffering themselves. Because they were always scheming, they ultimately brought misery upon themselves. My ex-husband has lost friends and, with no money, is living in hardship. As for his parents, cut off even by their son and without money, I wonder how they will manage. They might have to rely on social welfare. But for people as prideful and vain as they are, it must be a miserable existence. As for me, after focusing on my work, I was able to increase my profits from real estate investments. And now I live a comfortable life every day. I've always been frugal. But now I enjoy traveling and spending my money and time meaningfully. It's curious how lives can diverge so much, even though we were once family. The difference lies in whether one knows how to work hard or not. I've always striven towards my goals and aspirations. And that effort is now reflected in my current lifestyle. To avoid a life like my ex-husband's, I'll continue to work hard and cherish those around me.